is. It is another episode of The Extra Yard, and Troy Stradford, former Miami Dolphin, is back. I am Alex Donno, wishing everybody a happy Monday, or no, it's Tuesday today, right? Wow, Monday just flew by. Tuesday's way better than Monday, Troy. How was your extended weekend?
My weekend was absolutely great. I hate Mondays. Tuesdays are better than Mondays. And in my world, Wednesdays are truly my Mondays because I go
Oh,
to work
really?
on Wednesday.
Okay.
So tomorrow's my Monday.
Okay. So Monday is like your Saturday and Tuesday is like your Sunday. Is that,
Yeah,
do I have that right?
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Like I'm free to do whatever.
I love it. Hello to IMAX, who's in the live chat. By the way, guys, if you're watching this, whether you're watching it live, 3:58 p.m. here on Tuesday, not Monday, on 5 Reasons Sports YouTube, if that's where you are, hit the thumbs up button, hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to 5 Reasons Sports on YouTube. And if you want to partake in the live chat, like our pal IMAX is doing right now, you can feel free to use that live chat. Or if you're listening to the audio version of this, on the 3 Yards Per Carry podcast feed, make sure you are subscribed to that and leave us and the guys a nice 5-star review on that one as well. Troy, one thing that's gotten a little ugly in and outside of that Miami Dolphins facility is this Byron Jones situation, and fans are coming after Byron. So to give people a little background as to how this whole public thing started. So the NFL sent out a tweet about Byron Jones being Mr. Broad Jump, and he took exception to that. He tweeted out, did the Miami Dolphins cornerback, who we haven't actually seen on the field in a couple of years, but he tweeted out, he quote tweeted the NFL, calling him
can't
Mr.
do that.
Yeah, right. He says, much has changed in 8 years. He says, today I can't run or jump because my injuries sustained playing this game. Do not take the pills they give you. Do not take the injections they give you. If you absolutely must, consult an outside doctor to learn the long-term implications. He followed that up with, it was an honor and privilege to play in the NFL, but it came at a regrettable cost I did not foresee. In my opinion, no amount of professional success or financial gain is worth avoidable chronic pain and disabilities. Godspeed to the draft class of 2023. So first takeaway there is, when that series of tweets came out, it looked an awful lot like he was announcing his retirement. He has told ESPN, Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald, and I'm sure others, that he's not retiring. So it's like, well, wait, if you're not retiring, is this like a semantics game where you want the Dolphins to cut you so you get paid and then you retire? Or are you just trying to force your way out of Miami, maybe go play for Brian Flores in Minnesota because he loves flow? I don't know if this is a power trip just for the money or to try to force your way somewhere else, but apparently Byron Jones not retiring.
Who knows what his end game is? It could be to get away from the Miami Dolphins, but you are correct. We haven't seen him in like close to 2 years on the football field. But I could see him taking exception to the NFL, kind of highlighting his broad jump, because every athlete has to go through this. And trust me, it is absolutely terrible. It sucks. It sucks when you go through this, when you find yourself going onto the football field, whether it's the practice field or in a game situation, and you try and do something that used to come naturally to you, and you can no longer do it. You start to question your ability. And like I always have this little topsy-turvy thing going on when it comes to like great players. Take great players. Let's take Dan Marino, for example. Dan Marino or John Elway or Joe Montana, they even slowed down. LeBron James, I don't know, maybe at 77 he'll slow down. It's incredible what he's doing, but he just got injured.
Yeah.
The thing is, when you're young, you could go out there. You don't even need to stretch when you're young. But as you get older, you find yourself saying, wait a minute, it takes a little bit more to get this body going to play this game. And when you finally internally realize you're not the player that you used to be, then you start thinking, all right, what's my exit plan? How do I do this? How could I steal? Keyword steal. Okay. How could I steal one more year? Because you're getting paid damn good money, right?
Yeah.
And in your mind, you're sitting there, not saying that the coaches and every brass person on the or in the organization can't see that you cannot do what you used to do
Right.
a year ago or 2 years ago. But you, as an individual, you're sitting there saying, I'm not walking away from this. I'm going to get me one more year of salary. I'm going to steal. It was like a phrase. I'm going to steal one more year from the NFL. Like they owe me
Yeah.
this one more year. So when it comes to Byron Jones, I was very surprised to hear what he said. Not
Yeah.
surprised to hear what he said, but I go back to the season, and all of us on the outside were sitting there saying, "All right, Byron Jones might be back week 6, might be back week 8." Byron Jones never came back. Is
Yeah.
it is Byron Jones, right? Yeah,
Byron. Yeah.
yeah. And I'm sitting there saying, he's sitting there like, I can't play this game anymore. The organization knew it, but the organization fed to us. There's a possibility that he may be available in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. We may bring him off of the pup list, but he never came off of the pup list. So here's the tricky part. Now I'm sitting there saying, all right, you just like sabotage your whole game, because if he goes to work out for any other team, whether it's the Pittsburgh Steelers or any other team, if he really wants out of Miami,
Mm.
they're going to put him through, because they're going to take his words, his words.
Yeah.
Okay. No one else's words. They're going to take his words and say, all right, can this guy play? So whereas they put you through this quote unquote normal workout when they're contemplating signing you to play on their team, they're sitting there saying, we got to take a deeper look into if this guy could really function in the National Football anymore. So, I'm sitting there saying, man, you don't want to retire, or you didn't, or you said you didn't want to retire, or that you're not retiring.
That's what I'm
What
wondering,
the
Troy.
hell are you doing?
I'm wondering if it's just semantics, because based on what I've read about the contract situation, if he were to retire now, he would owe the Dolphins money. If
Owe the Dolphins
Yeah,
money?
if the Dolphins cut him June 1st, he doesn't owe them any money.
Okay, all right, he's playing the game.
Probably what it is, right? He's just playing. He's just waiting it out. He's playing the timing game. I think that's probably what's going on here. But
Yeah.
if we'll cross this bridge when we get to it. But if he does end up, working out for other teams,
Right.
a lot of conversations to be had. But go ahead.
I look at this, Donald, as I go back to when we started doing this, like the beginning of the season, and my perspective was the strength of this defensive unit was in the secondary. Without Byron Jones being there, it no longer was the strength. And as the season went along, it switched. So you look at the Miami Dolphins right now and you say, damn, they got a defensive front that is fearsome. They could get after the quarterback. They could stop the run. And so now I'm looking at this. And then we saw the play of, just got to call it what it is, Xavier Howard. He had his ups and downs this season. So I'm looking at the Miami Dolphins. I'm sitting here saying, all right, we're going into another offseason here. And the Miami Dolphins, all of a sudden, we got to flip the page from last year where we thought the strength was the secondary. Now that strength is up front. So if there are any moves to be made by the Miami Dolphins, it is definitely on the defensive side.
Yeah.
There's definitely going to be in the secondary as opposed to up front.
I want to ask Troy in a second about, and yeah, exactly. Thank you, Alfredo. These are the numbers I was hinting at. June 1st, Miami saves 13.4 mil. Had he retired, Jones would have owed Miami 4.2 mil. So yeah, if I'm Byron Jones, I'm sitting there, I'm like, why would I retire today and have to pay back, 4.2 million of the millions I've made already when, they can cut me and I don't owe them anything. So that makes sense. But I want to ask Troy in a moment his experience with, the pills and the injections that Byron Jones was talking about, because I think that's definitely a conversation worth having. But before we have that conversation, I want to have a conversation about Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com, proud partner here of the Extra Yard, 3 yards per carry, and the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Guys, if you haven't jumped on the Prize Picks bandwagon, I don't know what you're waiting for. You missed the NFL season. Maybe you were waiting for XFL season is what some of you were waiting for. Or you just wanted to play some of these NBA games. Prize Picks is so much fun. It's so easy to sign up because it's fully legal in the state of Florida. So you don't have to worry. Like you're not funding any Chinese balloons or anything if you sign up. Prize Picks, it's based in the United States. It's easy to deposit money. It's easy to get your money out, fully legal, all that good stuff. So you sign up at prizepicks.com or the Prize Picks mobile app. And when you sign up, use our code 5. That's FIVE. Spell it out, and they're going to double your first deposit up to $100. So you deposit $100, they give you 100 free play dollars on top of that you can play with. Thank you, Alfredo. Now I'm excited. Prize Picks has combined 40-yard dash over-unders. I live for this stuff. Troy, do you watch the
bet anything?
Do you watch the combine? Because I always say I'm not going to watch much of it, but then I'm flipping through the channels in the middle of the day, NFL Network. I end up sitting there and watching it for hours, and then the time just disappears. I sit down for 5 minutes. It's 2 hours later. Like, where did the time go watching these 40s?
All right, I come from a different perspective, right? I think the combines is important. I really do. But we as fans, we want any type of information we could get. We feed into everything that goes on. But I always looked at the combines, first 2 days of training camp in college, first 2 days of training camp in the National Football League. And I go, these are not my days. Like, I'm a ball player.
Yeah, right.
I'm not the fastest. I don't jump the highest. I don't jump the furthest. Okay. I cannot tell you, Donno, I cannot tell you how many guys who were off the charts, incredible on testing day. I call it testing day.
Right.
Testing day is when, you're on the weight bench and you're setting the record and you're running the 40 and you're breaking times. And I go, that's not who I am. I'm a damn football player. And there's so many other guys in here that I can look around and I can say, yeah, that's a football player. Mm-hmm. That's a football player. That's a test player. That's a test player. He may never play in the National Football League, but he ran the fastest 40th time. I was in Kansas City one year, and this was unbelievable. It was a tiny little guy, smaller than like Tyreek Hill. This guy ran like a 4.25 40. And I watched it because I was training with him. Training with him in the offseason. He was helping me test faster in the 40, right? And I watched him run, and I never saw anyone else in person run that fast. It was like his feet were not touching the ground. I was like, oh my God, that's like incredible. Did he ever play a down for the Kansas City Chiefs? Never. So I take the whole testing and combine with a grain of salt. However, I will say this. There is something to be said about the combines, right?
The interviews, right?
Not only the interviews. As a college player, the combines are coming. We
Right.
all know, right?
Yeah.
So now, if you know it's coming and you show up and you're out of shape
Yeah.
or something is wrong, you're like, if I'm a team, I'm sitting there saying, where's your commitment?
Right.
Where is your commitment where you show up to the grand event on the stage right now in sports and you're not ready to go? Like I wouldn't touch that player. I would
Yeah.
not touch that player.
People have a hard time understanding that stuff because I hear like one piece of rhetoric I hear a lot from people just like out in the real world, right? Sports are not really real life. They kind of are. But, people always say like, what's the point of college, right? I mean, the whole who cares? You cram for a test. Like, does that really tell you how smart someone is? And I say, don't be an idiot. The point of college is not what you learn. It's you're showing prospective employers that for 4 years, I showed up somewhere consistently and was responsible enough to get passing grades. Therefore, if you hire me, I'm not going to be a flake. I think that's where, if you can get a college degree, you are showing employers, no matter what your test scores were, but you're showing employers that I can rely on this person because for 4 years or even longer than that, if you got a post graduate degree, that this person for at least 4 years showed up somewhere consistently, passed all its classes, got decent grades. I could probably rely on that person to hire. I think that's, being responsible is so important, whether you're trying to get into the NFL or trying to get into a law firm.
Again, throughout my career, especially with the Miami Dolphins, it was like the player who's going to play is the player that the coaches can trust. Number one, the head coach got to trust you. Okay. The head coach, he trusted you. Now the position coach has to trust you. And as long as you show that they could trust you to be where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, and I'm talking off the field, on the field, you're going to play before that more talented guy that was late like 3 times in the morning. It's people think that's like funny, but that is so important. Always had this saying, talent trumps trouble until trouble trumps talent.
Oh, that's good. Antonio Brown is a prime example.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That guy, I don't know how much money he has blown. And I don't care how much money he has right now. But that guy right there should have been a potential Hall of Fame wide receiver in the National Football League. Yeah. But, upstairs, something is 2 + 2 was not 4 in his brain. And so now, look at that. It's so you could, and for the younger guys or guys who have been around him early on in his career, they saw it coming. Like, have you ever had a sit down, real talk about some of his or with some of his former teammates? I guarantee you they'll sit there and say, I knew he was going to fizzle out. I knew something was going to go wrong. He just wasn't on point. And that's how it goes.
So if you want to get those over-unders on 40 times, or you want to bet over-unders on NBA players, you got to check out Prize Picks, prizepicks.com, or the Prize Picks mobile app. You simply select 2, 3, 4 players. You can go cross-sport. You can have a couple of combine times and a couple of NBA players in the same selection, which is absolutely glorious. And if you get all your predictions correct, you win real money. So sign up, Prize Picks mobile app or prizepicks.com with our code 5. Spell it out, FIVE. And they're going to double your first deposit up to $100. Prize Picks truly is daily fantasy made easy. And also, guys, if you're looking for action, make sure you're checking out our sports betting partner here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, and that is bettoredge.com, BETTOR edge.com. Right in the URL, bettoredge.com/5 reasons, and they're going to give you a $20 sign-up bonus. Also fully legal in Florida and in 45 states because it's peer-to-peer betting, which is brilliant. So instead of betting against the house, like instead of betting against some nameless, faceless casino, or
you don't beat the house.
No one beats the house. I know. I can say from experience, I've never beaten the house, but at Better Edge, you're betting against other people. So it's a social platform That's how they get around the whole gambling thing. And it's pretty freaking brilliant the way that they do it. So betteredge.com/5reasons to check it out. So Troy, in that Byron Jones tweet,
Yes.
and listen, I don't want to sound like I'm belittling this because even though I know Dolphin fans are upset because it certainly seems like he's singling out the Dolphins here because that's the team he's played for in recent years. But when he talks about not taking the pills that they give you or the injections and seeking outside medical opinions, I'm all for that. And, I think this is something the NFL has tried to get better at in recent years. Cause like I've heard the stories from Joe Rose from back when he was playing in the 80s where, he learned the team that, and, maybe you've got some stories, Troy, but, Joe, he learned that, the team doctor has the team's best interest in mind, not necessarily yours. I think the NFL over the years has taken steps to try to make this a little bit, more of a fair process. But, second opinions, third opinions are fine because when you're going to a doctor that's employed by the team you play for, there's always the fear in the back of your mind. Are they just trying to numb my pain so I can play and win on Sundays and then I'll pay the price later on? So listen, paranoid, maybe, but I can respect what Byron Jones says there because I don't want these guys to mess up their bodies just so, the team can get the most out of them.
The NFL has evolved. Have they done everything right? No. Have they done everything wrong? No. But there was a time back when I played where absolutely the team doctor was on the side of the organization.
Yeah.
And I'm not sitting here saying that they pushed you out there, but they pushed you out there. That's just how it was. And you're actually taking advantage of a young, eager player who's trying to either prove himself or continue to go to the next step. And so what you say is what they are going to believe. But over the years, things have changed, and you could go get it. There was a time when I played, you couldn't go get a second opinion, right? You couldn't go get a second opinion or a third opinion. So now you have, that option. Me personally, I took an injection once. It was for turf toe. And after I took it one time, I said, I ain't taking that. Sorry, excuse me. I am not taking that shit again. Yeah. It's like, and I've seen teammates take, especially on the road, they take an injection. And when you take the injection, you can actually take a baseball bat. You take an injection on your ankle. You can take a baseball bat and you could, bam! Damn. And he'd be like, all right, let's go play.
Wow.
Feels nothing. And then when that starts to wear off, especially when you get onto a plane and the air pressure inside the cabin, you hear those guys like, you hear them in the back of the plane like moaning and groaning. And so when I took an injection, we were playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I remember. And so I took the injection so that I could play, as opposed to taking one more week and then I would be much better off. And I played like 5 plays in the game. And I'm sitting there saying, what the hell I take an injection for?
I'd be pissed if I was in that
playing
spot.
5 plays.
Yeah.
And so that definitely goes on in the National Football League. I don't know where Byron Jones is coming from. If he's trying to work his way out of here, I really don't. But I just know he put a bullseye on him by you're literally sitting there saying, I can't do it anymore. So if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Texas, the
Vikings,
whoever, do you want to bring him in?
Yeah. I mean, you're telling me you can't run or jump, right? Yeah. Right. Those seem like pretty important skills for a professional football player, unless maybe you're a kicker.
I'll turn the page and go to the next guy.
Yeah.
So he's in a tricky situation. But I think it's a money play for him. He wants to get paid.
Yeah.
And if I'm the Miami Dolphins, no matter what it costs me, or actually, I'll keep him around And if he really can't run, if he really can't jump, I take him to training camp and then I cut his butt. I hate to say that because I don't want to
Love it.
be on the owner's side. They make enough money.
Yeah.
I'm on the player's side, but if he wants to play this game, all right, come on back to training camp and let's see if you can play or not. And if not, we got you.
There's one last thing I wanted to talk about on this episode, and I'm very torn on this, given someone who is a lifelong Miami Dolphins fan and a lifelong Miami Hurricanes fan, because
Yes.
certain Pro Football Hall of Famer Jason Taylor is a member of the Miami Hurricanes coaching staff. I think
Yeah.
JT deserves a promotion. He's currently a defensive analyst with the University of Miami. Obviously, he spent a little time with the Miami Dolphins, if I remember that correctly. And there are some rumors out there, Troy, and I've asked a few people what they've heard, including our pal Alfredo. I don't know if this is like really hitting a crescendo just yet, but there are some rumors that Vic Vangio and Mike McDaniel may want Jason Taylor to leave the Hurricanes and join the Dolphins staff. I'm sure that would be a hard thing for him to say no to. Meanwhile, the Miami Hurricanes have now an opening for a promotion for him because they need a new defensive ends coach, which is a job Jason Taylor would be freaking perfect for. And I know that the young men in Coral Gables, who he's had a chance to work with the past year, are very appreciative of JT. The players he's helping recruit, the high school players, are very appreciative, and they're pretty starstruck when they get to talk on the phone with Jason Taylor. So this is one of those things, Troy, where when something like this is going on, where there may be a tug of war. And by the way, the Dolphins would never lose this. If they actually made Jason Taylor an offer, there's no way the Hurricanes could keep him. But if there really is a tug of war going on behind the scenes for Jason Taylor, I don't know, man. I feel like he's needed more at the University of Miami than he is at the Miami Dolphins. So I guess I win either way, but I would hate to lose him from the Miami Hurricane staff if that's really something that's going to happen here.
I'm from the school of Deion Sanders, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to coach, although you love working with younger players, there's a major difference between that college player and that professional player. And as good and as great as Jason Taylor was for the Miami Dolphins, if he's presented an opportunity to go to the Miami Dolphins, he just sits there and says, look, guys, I'll keep my eyes on you. You can call me anytime you want, but I got to go do this. And I would love to see Jason Taylor on the sideline for the Miami Dolphins, especially with the personnel that the Miami Dolphins have. Even though they're already professionals, you always learn something a little bit more from a veteran, someone who has been there, who has done that, and who has succeeded. Now, don't get me wrong. Jason Taylor was a freak of nature, right?
Yeah.
He has skills that some of the guys on the Miami Dolphins, if not all of them, at that position just cannot do. But he has something in his repertoire that he can say, you need to do more of this or you need to do more of that. So who would you like to have? A coach coaching defensive ends who never played the game, smart as a whiz when it comes to scheme and all of that? Or would you have someone like Jason Taylor? Not saying that he doesn't have the whiz when it comes to scheme, but what he brings to the table. And Jason Taylor is like Sam Madison, like Wes Welker. He's like Patrick Surtain. He's like one of those guys, because that whole group of those guys, when they were playing, they had young kids that were playing, coming up through the ranks. And so they took a personal, liking to, I'm going to walk out here to their high school, to their junior high school, to the high school coaches. And I know more than them. I'm going to coach my own son up.
Yeah.
And you see all of their sons are very successful right now. because they
That's
get
right.
that hands-on coaching.
Jason Taylor's son was a stud freshman tight end at LSU last year. He looked incredible.
Jason Taylor's son,
Mason Taylor, yeah.
Sam Madison's son,
Yeah,
Patrick
Surtain's kid.
Surtain's son.
Yep.
They all have something because they learn something at a very young age.
Yeah.
And there's
I'm sure the genetics from their dads didn't hurt either.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But to have that hands-on experience from all of those guys, that's a pretty penny. So
yeah. Well, and you know what? I think
war, Jason Taylor will be with the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, he will be for sure.
Personally,
if there really is. Yeah.
Personally, I know this.
Well, can you, if you ever speak with Jason, though, do me a favor.
I'm about to tell you a story.
Okay, well, if you speak with him in the near future, tell him he's more needed in Coral Gables. Miami Gardens is always going to be there. Just tell him, take that defensive ends job in Coral Gables. Don't worry about you're one of the greatest Dolphins of all time. They'll take you at any point if you want to go there. He owes me a debt of service with the Hurricanes.
No. It's more like Jason Taylor will add something to this team that they won't get somewhere else. And the National Football League is definitely a higher level. Like, I knew Jason Taylor was part of what was going on down there at the University of Miami. But if I saw him with the Miami Dolphins, I would see a different level of play of these guys because they would tune into him and they will listen to him. And I'll tell you a little personal story.
Okay.
Jason and I are not close. We're not close, okay? But we go to functions or where we end up at functions. And I can remember when it was at O.J. McDuffie's charity bowling event. And Jason was there, and I came across him. And this is just when Patrick Surtain got hired, when Sam Madison got hired, when Wes Welker got hired. And I go, Jason, you got to be next, right? And his response to me was like, this is just coming from me now, how I took it. His response was like, they ain't fucking called me. And I was like, whoa, oh, okay. So he had a little sourness inside him.
So Jason, said, don't forget about that. They didn't call you back then. Mario called you.
You will.
I want him at UM.
Listen, but when they start throwing the money at you in the pro ball as opposed to the college ball,
that's a great story, though. That's wow.
Yeah, I was shocked to hear the response because I thought, all right, they're building something here. They're taking the younger players, former Dolphin players, former NFL players, and they're not putting them at coordinators per se. They have the quote unquote coach who has been a coach all his life. But I sat there and I go, wow, I'm a little surprised I got that response from Jason. So best of luck to him, whichever way he goes.
Well, Jason, just remember, Mike McDaniel doesn't like or respect you. Just keep that in mind. Mario Cristobal does. Mike McDaniel doesn't. Just don't forget about that, Jason. I kid. I'm sure McDaniel has the utmost respect for Jason Taylor. Well, that'll do it for this episode. Troy, great to have you back, my friend. Always a good time with Troy. Everyone in the live chat, thank you so much. Anyone listening to this or watching this on replay, thank you. Remember, you can recall this episode not only on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel, but on the 3 Yards Per Carry audio feed. Greatest Dolphins podcast in the history of podcasting. Alf, Simon, and Chris do a fantastic job, and they're nice enough to share their podcast feed with us. So make sure you subscribe to 3 Yards Per Carry. For Troy Stradford, I am Alex Donno. Jason Taylor, remember, you are appreciated in Coral Gables, maybe not in Miami Gardens, and we will talk to you guys again next time on another episode of The Extra Yard on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. See ya.
You got it, man.